RPE, otherwise known as rate of perceived exertion, fatigue, and autoregulation. Not all workouts are the same or should they feel the same. The reality is that your body doesn't show up the same every day. Congrats, you're human. So I want to talk about rate of perceived exertion and how to kind of like auto regulate through that and why it's a really good metric that can help you stay out of pain, prevent injury, and stay in the game longer. Your body, things that change how you feel every day, like sleep, stress, recovery, motherhood, work, nutrition, travel, life changes. All of these things influence how your body perform on a given day. That's why one of the most important skills you can learn is to understand RPE and autoregulation. These tools help you train intelligently instead of forcing your body to match a number on a program. Again, like if you're an athlete, right, it's so easy to follow, like, oh, Chandler programmed this, so I'm gonna follow it to a T, otherwise I fail. Wrong. The people that have the most success or the best athletes in the world know how to auto-regulate and listen to their body. Rate of perceived exertion or RPE is a metric to help you do that. I see it all of the time where it's like, I'm so frustrated, I'm failing because you programmed 4 workouts and I only got 2. And it's like, there's a reason for that, most likely. It's typically not that you're lazy, right? But if we knew how to auto-regulate and use RPE, it's likely you'd actually be able to do more because you're meeting yourself where you're at better, right? Like if you wake up because you had sick kids and you didn't sleep that great and you had a workout programmed that day, sure, like check in with yourself. Maybe we move that to another day. Or we utilize rate of perceived exertion and we meet ourselves at that energy expenditure in the gym that day, not looking at the app and being like, oh, well, I back squatted 185 last time, so I need to hit 190 because that's progressive overload. No, progressive overload sure is you're either increasing weights, sets, reps, or intensity over time. But if you're meeting yourself at like a 7 on a rate of perceived exertion scale after a night of not sleeping, then you're still in a state of progressive overload because it's a hard stimulus on your body that day, even if you're lifting lighter than you did the week before. This is how you train intelligently, right? Without matching a number on a program. We match your body. So I know I already kind of said this, but what is RPE? Well, RPE is rate of perceived exertion, which is a simple scale to measure how difficult something feels, right? Instead of relying on weight or numbers alone, RPE it can allow you to measure effort relative to your capacity in that moment. So the most common scale used in strength training runs from 1 to 10, right? 10 means you could not perform another rep. We also use like RIR, which is reps in reserve. So some lifting programs you'll see lift to 2 reps in reserve. So your goal is to figure out a weight that you can do that you might only be able to do two more reps after that set, right? That would be an RPE of like an RPE of 10 is you could not do another rep. So an RPE of 8 would be that you have 2 reps in reserve. RPE 7 means you have done 3 or more reps. Anything below that typically means that set is relatively easy and far from failure. This is also why people who are lifting in lifting programs that have been following it for 6 months and not getting stronger or like changing aesthetically or seeing improvement in pain metrics are because they're not using RPE because they're either training too hard or they're not training hard enough, right? Like lifting for the sake of lifting doesn't get you anywhere. You have to still use stress. Remember how I talked about irritation drives adaptation? There has to be enough irritation in what you're doing to warrant change in the stimulus, right? So using RPE can help us control intensity while still allowing room for your body to fluctuate day to day because you're a human. So fatigue is not just about feeling tired because fatigue accumulates from many different sources. Again, it's the common theme here, right? Training stress, poor sleep, work stress, life stress, emotional stress, nutrition, hydration. Do you want me to go on? Your nervous system doesn't separate these things the way that we do. It simply sees them all as stress load, right? Like your mind doesn't often know the difference. Like so when stress load increases, performance capacity can temporarily decrease, right? You could this is the back to the capacity versus load bucket is When you have an RPE of a 7 at a gym, this keeps us within the lines that day because maybe the capacity outside of the gym that day was significantly higher, right? So this might be why weight that felt like an RPE of a 7 last week could feel like an RPE of a 9 today. That's normal. The best athletes in the world understand this, and that's why they're the best athletes in the world because they can keep going. So ignoring fatigue and pushing through every session at full intensity often leads to plateaus, burnout, or injury, or ignoring fatigue and being afraid to push threshold can also often lead to plateau because you're not getting where you want to go and you're not addressing the stress stimulus appropriately. Managing fatigue is actually one of the keys to long-term progress, right? So, with that note, auto-regulation is another key word, which is the process of adjusting training intensity based on how your body is performing that day. It's basically like using RPE, and when we do that, our body naturally auto-regulates. So instead of forcing a fixed weight or number every session, we use feedback from the body to guide the session. This allows training to stay productive even when variables fluctuate. If a program calls for a set at RPE 8, the exact weight might change from day to day, but the stimulus of RPE is what we need to see progressive overload. So one day that might be 155, one day it might be 145, and the next day it might be 165. The goal isn't to chase the number for this, it's to hit the correct training stimulus. This is when we can auto regulate to this and adapt. That's how we keep going, to like build aerobic capacity, to get out of pain, to get stronger, to improve body composition. Training alone is not about just one workout. It's about stacking consistent sessions over weeks, months, and years. So the auto regulation of this is what allows you to train with your body instead of against it. On days when you feel strong, you push a little bit harder. On days when fatigue is high, you adjust slightly while still getting quality work in. It's not one or the other. And I think that I see it so many times as people are like, I only train when I feel good, right? And they're not, we want to sit just below threshold all of the time. So it forces constant awareness for you to check in with yourself and not just following a program to a T. You are the program, not the program. This keeps progress moving forward without digging yourself into like recovery holes, more pain, injury, all of those things. One of the benefits of using RP is that it teaches you to become aware. Remember, awareness precedes change. Can't change what you don't know. I'm helping you create awareness. Over time, this awareness helps you become more independent and intelligent in your training. Instead of blindly following numbers, you develop the skill of making smart adjustments. Again, this also goes outside of the gym. If you're mountain biking with your friends, maybe you go on a solo ride instead of training with 3 people who slept really well that night and don't have kids. Your capacity is different. So instead of going into this fatigue and burnout, it's like meet yourself where you're at, make a smart decision here. So it's not this rate of perceived exertion stimulus should follow you in every aspect of your physical life, not just inside of the gym. Okay. At the end of the day, training should be challenging. That's the point. But it also needs to be adaptable. You're not a machine, you are a human. So you're not going to perform identically every day. Your body is a dynamic system that constantly responds to stress and recovery. Pain and all of this is information. If you don't listen, that's how you break down. So using tools like RPE and auto-regulation allow you to listen to help you manage fatigue, maintain consistency, and keep progress moving forward for a long term. And in training, consistency over time is what creates results. And that's why we're here. We want to live the most active life that we possibly can and do it confidently. This is freedom in your body without compromise. This is moving more, hurting less. This is how movement becomes medicine when it's dosed properly. This is not more for the sake of more. This is living your most abundant, incredible life. You have one life. So using these things to auto-regulate, check in with yourself, and stop just grinding for the sake of grinding and just listening to your body, I promise you're going to get farther in life than you ever thought possible because this is not just as good as it gets. This is why you're here because it gets to get better. Okay. As always, let me know in the comments what you thought, any aha moments. Did you know about rate of perceived exertion? Have you used it before? All of the things. Again, I can only help you where you're at. So let me know. I'd love to know how you feel about it. And of course, there's more lessons coming. So until next time, I can't wait to see you in the next video.